Well. It appears that Joe Biden may not have been as forthcoming as the White House has been saying all along. Now, former Hunter Biden business associate Devon Archer testifying today that we're hearing from Joe Biden had been on speakerphone more than 20 times during Hunter's business meetings. Archer alleging that it was to, quote, sell the brand, adding that Joe Biden often joined calls with his son. Weird. I know many Americans don't have the time to read all the information coming out on this, and because you're busy and you got jobs and stuff, we got you. A lot is happening simultaneously here, and this is by design. On Saturday, the DOJ sent a federal judge in New York a letter asking to set a surrender date for Archer, who was convicted back in 2018 for conspiracy to defraud a Native American tribe. Now, just 2 days before Archer's testimony before the House Judiciary Committee, not weird at all. Now, of course, the DOJ has come out and said, hold up, we didn't intend to try to block his testimony or blah, blah, blah. Maybe not. But then why did you send this letter on a Saturday in the middle of summer? It sounds super sketchy to me. Regardless of what the DOJ is saying, I don't trust them as far as I can throw them. Literally in the same time frame, you have Democrats out saying this.
I don't think there's any chance that President Biden is going to do that, unlike his predecessor, who pardoned all of his friends and anyone who had any access to him. President Biden has restored the integrity of the Department of Justice, and I think you see that in this case.
No. What metric is he using to evaluate that? Do these people really think that we just blindly believe what they tell us like they tried to get us to do during COVID? They think we're stupid. Americans have access to information at a rate never seen before in history. And this helmet will literally ramble on national TV, lying through his teeth. Matt Gaetz weighed in on this weekend, offering some pretty harsh words to the DOJ. He said, quote, the DOJ is now actively committing the crime of obstructing a congressional investigation. Gaetz went on, he says, if Devon Archer isn't in the witness chair on Monday, we better haul every SOB at the DOJ before Congress every single day to make them pay for this. Well, thankfully, Archer did in fact appear today, and of course now the DOJ, being a bunch of half-rate lawyers, they're backing out, saying, well, to be clear, the government does not request and has never requested that the defendant surrender before his congressional testimony. Sure. Now, the letter sent on Sunday reads, quote, as the court knows, to surrender and commence his sentence of imprisonment, the defendant must first be designated to a federal facility by the Bureau of Prisons, a process that can take several weeks or months after the court sets a surrender date. That was their backup plan. Folks, this is a BFD. The order of these events are super critical. And like we talked about last week, the Department of Justice, who works for the defendant's father, mind you, dropped a felony gun charge in exchange for pleading guilty to 2 out of 6 fraud charges. They snuck it in on a separate document, though, as a broad immunity clause pertaining to investigations that haven't even concluded yet, relating to matters that weren't even before the court. Oh, with no signature space for the judge on that side document. Why is this important? Well, for 2 reasons. Because the FARA violations are a major deal, and any investigation into that or testimony from someone like, oh, I don't know, Devon Archer, will likely expose Joe Biden to an influence scheme that we all assumed, and he was, or at least maybe still is, happening. And 2, also relating to Joe Biden as being vice president, the DOJ is quietly trying to run out the clock on the statute of limitations for Hunter's tax liabilities. This is all related to Burisma. 2014 and 2015 have already sailed. Those are out. But 2016, the last year of Joe Biden's influence over Ukraine as Veep, still there. That's why the DOJ won't indict Hunter, because it would stop the clock. They're going to indict Trump for crossing the street outside of a sidewalk, but Hunter? No. You can do 172 miles an hour doing heroin. No problem. I know this is getting complicated, but this is a feature, not a bug. The DOJ and even many of the news outlets reporting this want it to be that complicated, so the American people just write it off. And here's where it gets even a little bit more weedy. And this is why they may have lied, or at least very least played fast and loose with the truth in federal court. Last week, with this plea agreement in court, it was crazy. When the court asked Hunter Biden point blank specifically about a $1 million payment, he said, quote, I think it was for legal services. legal services for what? This is a Chinese depositor. What did Hunter Biden's firm, Owasco LLC, represent a Chinese firm for? Yeah, I would think a judge might want to know that. Another question is, why did they only put down $1 million when back in 2020 the Senate highlighted that it could be north of $6 million? I wouldn't hire Hunter for anything for $6 million. But the real issue here is, this is why today's testimony with Devon Archer is super bad for them. These FARA violations are at the center of it. And whether or not Joe Biden attended these meetings with his son's business, that's the big part. There's no statute of limitations on this unless other charges supersede it. The DOJ website even states, failure to file a registration statement or supplements thereto as required by FARA shall be considered a continuing offense for as long as such failure exists. The DOJ, you know, these are the people who are supposed to be like justice is blind and all that stuff. They're deliberately not prosecuting this. They're keeping it under wraps. Now keep in mind, while all this is going on, Hunter has like a pending potential guilty plea if they can get their order back together. All this is happening. Hunter is still in good standing with the DC bar as an attorney. Are you kidding me? If you just glance over a quick read through the standards of such license to practice law states, quote, committing a criminal act that reflects adversely on the lawyer's honesty, trustworthiness, or fitness as a lawyer in other respects might get you disbarred. Wow. That is if your name isn't Biden, of course. But the standards go on more specifically. Many kinds of illegal conduct reflect adversely on fitness to practice law, such as offenses involving fraud and the offense of willful failure to file an income tax return. Still barred. No consequences for Hunter. And don't even get me started on the illegal drug use. People have been disbarred for fractions of what he's doing. While we know about very little from these Archer hearings today, my sources are telling me that it's beyond third world corruption. And like anything in D.C., I expect a full leak of the story very, very soon.